Part 47. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 461. The Lin family really didn't dare to cause trouble to Yingwan now. The main reason was that everyone knew Yingwan's identity now. Everyone who wasn't stupid knew that even if they were shameless, Yingwan could kill them with just a finger. Besides, the two old ones were already dead, and now there was only one Lin Jiarui left, who had to run around for his son from time to time. The Lin family's situation abroad was not as good as imagined. They had completely given up the company, and the large sum of money they got was enough for them to live comfortably. Even if they lost part of it, they could still last for a long time. However, Yu Wenzi couldn't stand such a life. She thought of her previous efforts for the Lin family and Lin Jiarui, and finally gave birth to a son, Lin Baojun. Now she fell into this situation because of a small matter, and all the money from the transfer of the company's shares was in Lin Jiarui's hands, and he didn't give it to Yu Wenzi. Not long after being abroad, Yu Wenzi discovered that Lin Jiarui had a young and beautiful foreign student mistress. It's only been a short time. Yu Wenzi secretly hated Lin Jiarui, but at this time she was no longer qualified to bargain with him. She still had to rely on him to survive and save her son, so she didn't dare to make a fuss. It happened that Lin Baoxi followed them, so she had to put her studies in China aside temporarily and deal with the Lin family first. As a result, Lin Baoxi was favored by a rich second generation in a local circle. The rich second generation didn't know much about their family, but they were really rich. Yu Wenzi was tempted. Lin Baoxi knew that she would definitely not be willing to do it in the future, mainly because the rich second generation was really ugly and had a bad reputation outside. Some of his crimes were more serious than Lin Baojun, but he had never committed a serious crime. He was particularly famous in the local rich second generation circle. But she grew up in the Lin family since she was a child, and she didn't just look at money, so she didn't want to do it. When she bought a ticket to return to China, she found that the restriction order had no effect on her, and she was overjoyed. Who would have thought that the rich second generation actually followed her back to China? Although the Lin family's affairs have been a commotion for a while, there are not many foreign circles that know that the Lin family is related to Yingwan, and the rich second generation doesn't know. Lin Baoxi didn't dare to find Yingwan at this time, nor did she dare to act in Yingwan's name. She could only think of her elder sister. The reason why the rich second generation was so persistent was because he bought Yu Wenzi a piece of jewelry worth 1 million when he visited her. Yu Wenzi accepted it, but the rich second generation was determined in his heart. You, as a mother, dare to accept such a valuable thing, which means you are selling your daughter. Lin Mei couldn't believe it after receiving Lin Baoxi's call for help. After thinking about it, she finally agreed to meet Lin Baoxi. After all, they are sisters by blood. If Lin Baoxi did something, she could be cruel and ignore it, but she couldn't just watch Lin Baoxi jump into the fire pit and ruin her life. She happened to be recuperating these days, so she had time to meet Lin Baoxi. After hearing the news reported by Su Han, Yingwan was silent for about a few seconds, and then slowly opened her Li, becoming the richest by farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 462. Su Han also felt that the Lin family was too incredible to do things, and he pondered for a moment and said, "Then should we go now?" Yingwan nodded, "Go to find Lin Mei." Lin Baoxi could not have any impact on her, and Yingwan did not need to think about avoiding her. When the car arrived at the hospital, Yingwan called Lin Mei. Lin Mei was stunned when she received Yingwan's call. "You came to the capital. Today's timing was not right." She glanced at Lin Baoxi, who looked melancholy, and whispered, "I'm not in the hospital now." Yingwan's voice was cold. "I know, I will come to the hospital to see you." Lin Mei understood Yingwan's meaning and whispered, "Okay, I'll be back soon." She hung up the phone and looked at Lin Baoxi with a little complexity. "You stay in the hotel tonight, and I'll ask Su Xiao to take care of the rich second generation's matter. Lin Mei now has a lot of connections with Su Xiao because of Ying Wan. According to Lin Baoxi, it is not difficult to deal with the rich second generation, but you have to know that I can help you solve it because of Ying Wan. In the end, it is still Ying Wan who is responsible. Lin Mei tapped the table with her fingers. I have done my best for you, Lin Baoxi. After solving this matter, you can only rely on yourself. You can stay in the country and don't have to go back to the Lin family, but I will not be responsible for your future. You are an adult, you should know that only you can control your own life. Even if I am your elder sister, I helped you because of this blood relationship, but I am not responsible for you. You have a duty, do you understand? Lin Baoxi had just cried a little, and her eyes were still a little red and swollen. She nodded and said sadly, Sister, I know what you mean. Don't worry, I won't come to you for anything in the future. I plan to study hard in China and choose to go to Kongsabel for further studies next year. I will walk my own way in the future. I will remember the favors you have done for me. I still have the things you gave me before. You can take them back if you want. The money you gave me is just a loan from me. I will pay it back when I have money in the future. Lin Mei still felt a little complicated when she heard Lin Baoxi say this. She said impatiently, I used to think I was stupid, but now at least I feel a little comforted by your words. It's better than giving it to that idiot Lin Baojun. You keep the things. It's okay if you have the money. It's your business whether you return it or not. I don't lack to give you that. Lin Baoxi looked at her with red eyes and lowered her voice, Sister. She paused, but still mustered up the courage to say it. I know it may be too late to say it now, but I'm really sorry for the past at home. There were many times when Yu Wenzi and Lin Jiarui accused Lin Mei. She just stood by and watched in order to avoid being implicated. Lin Mei's attitude towards her today was all her own fault, and she would not blame anyone. She knew it was too late for her to apologize now, but she really had no choice but to come back to Lin Mei to think about this matter. Lin Mei looked at her silently and didn't say anything. Just felt a little ironic. In the Lin family, she and Ying Wan were not to mention, even Lin Baoxi was not bad, but Lin Baojun and the others were more vicious than each other. This is the result of favoring boys over girls. Does Yu Wenzu really have no regrets in her heart? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 463. Knowing that Lin Mei was going back to the hospital, Lin Baoxi probably knew that it was Ying Wan who came after receiving the call just now. She now envies Lin Mei and Ying Wan for having such a good relationship. If she could support Ying Wan like her elder sister, perhaps the situation today would not be like this. But she also knows that there is no regret medicine in the world. With her mentality at that time, she did not even stand up for Lin Mei, for fear that Yu Wenzi's love for her would disappear because of this incident. Now that the matter is over, she said that she regretted it, which seemed too powerful. She also knew that she was no longer qualified, so she didn't think about trying to get close to Ying Wan. She just looked at Lin Mei cautiously and said, Sister, can I go with you to see the second sister? Lin Mei frowned, You want to go? Lin Baoxi waved her hand and said, I'm just going to see her. Don't worry, I won't tell the second sister about this. I won't ask her for help. I'm just going to see her. I won't disturb her in the future. Lin Baoxi said this. Lin Mei knew that Ying Wan must know that she was meeting Lin Baoxi now, not to mention that after knowing each other for so long, she also knew that Ying Wan would not meddle in other people's business and would not care about some things. It was okay for Lin Baoxi to go and see him. Lin Mei and the others were in a coffee shop near the hospital. After talking to Lin Baoxi, Lin Mei took Lin Beoxi back to the hospital. She is now staying in a private hospital in the capital. The surrounding environment is very good and confidentiality is also very high. She is still staying in the VIP ward. No one will disturb her easily, let alone paparazzi. She returned to the ward and found Yingwan already sitting on the sofa in the ward. She was playing with her phone. When she heard Lin Mei coming back, she raised her eyes and saw Lin Beoxi following behind Lin Mei. Wan Wan. Lin Mei called out and Yingwan nodded. As expected, as Lin Mei thought, she did not show any rejection of Lin Beoxi's arrival, but it did not mean welcome. She was completely a stranger. Lin Beoxi met Yingwan. When she met Yingwan some time ago, the situation was not too good. In her heart, this second sister has always been very indifferent and cold. Now it seems that she does have this capital. If she had been in the Lin family since she was a child, with the excellence of the second sister, even Lin Beojun might not be able to catch up with her status. It's a pity that the only thing that does not exist in this world is regret medicine. Lin Beoxi pulled the corner of her mouth, and called out with some embarrassment and some fear of looking directly, "Sister Yingwan." She did not call her the second sister because she knew she was not qualified. She was younger than Yingwan, and it was understandable to call her sister. She was ignorant before, but now it seems that Lin Beoxi is very tactful. Yingwan didn't think of treating Lin Beoxi specially. She nodded her head naturally and said, "Well, hello." This made Lin Beoxi feel relieved. She thought, at least she didn't hate her, even if it was just an attitude of treating her as a stranger. Yingwan just came to see Lin Mei. When they sat down, the atmosphere between the three of them was still awkward. Lin Mei didn't deliberately bring up any topic. After sitting for a while, Lin Beoxi told Lin Mei that she was leaving and would come to see her another day. Because Lin Mei was sick, she was qualified to visit. When she left, Lin Mei saw Lin Beoxi's lonely back when she left, and then she sighed slightly. "I thought she was the only one left, and she could still have a good life." Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 464. Lin Beojun is useless, and the only one who stays by Yu Wenzi's side is Lin Beoxi. It's incredible that Yu Wenzi is willing to do this. Yingwan curled her lips and smiled, but didn't express any opinion. She just said, "She's not going back either." Lin Mei nodded and turned to look at her carefully. "You should know about the rich second generation, right? I promised to help her solve it." She smiled bitterly and sat down. "Do you think I'm not living up to expectations?" "No." What Yingwan said surprised Lin Mei. "You only helped her because you are sisters. After all, you grew up together. Some things can't be broken just by saying. You can't watch her jump into a fire pit." It was not Lin Beoxi who caused all this to Lin Mei. Lin Beoxi chose to sit back and watch. Now Lin Mei chooses to help her, which just proves that Lin Mei is soft-hearted and kind enough. Just like when she came here to find Yingwan, although she was forced and had no choice but to do anything arrogant or excessive to Yingwan from beginning to end, otherwise Yingwan would not treat her change idea. She was different in the Lin family. It was precisely because of this difference that she was doing something to help Lin Beoxi now so as not to surprise Yingwan. When Lin Mei heard Yingwan's words, she smiled with some relief. "Yes, I also made it clear to her that I will no longer care about her. I think she understands it herself. She has nothing to do now except to take good care of her. There is no other way to study." Speaking of this, Lin Mei thought again, "My parents shouldn't be able to solve Lin Beojun's matter now, right?" Yingwan estimated the news reported by Suhan and thought for a moment, "Probably. Even if it is solved, Lin Beojun will be useless when he comes out." Suhan seems to have said that Lin Beojun's performance in the drug rehabilitation center was not particularly good. Lin Mei was completely cold-hearted towards this younger brother. Thinking about it now, she even felt a little disgusted. this can be regarded as retribution. After saying this, she didn't want to mention the disappointing things about the Lin family anymore. She turned to look at Yingwan and smiled sweetly. You came to see me specially. Yingwan, I have an appointment with Sci-Lu in the evening. I arrived early and had time to spare. I stopped by to see you. Lin Mei. The truth is this, there is no need for you to explain it so clearly. As a sister, she will be very sad. Yingwan asked, how many more days do you want to take care of me? I will be discharged from the hospital next week. My own problems are not serious. The doctor still has to do one last check. After having fun for a while, Lin Mei found that the days without work were so damn beautiful. Now she is a little reluctant to return to the set. You must know that when she was not late, she was basically too busy as a star, flying all over the world. She often recorded a show here and rushed to another city the next. The only time she could rest was a few hours. The rest was spent sleeping on the plane, which was really uncomfortable. But for money, these are secondary. After all, they are just busy, not miserable. Now, in the past few days, I occasionally go out for a walk, or I just play games, follow variety shows and watch other celebrities. My life is pretty good. That's good. Knowing that she was about to be discharged from the hospital, Yingwan nodded, I will come see you when you are discharged from the hospital, but I have been in the imperial capital these days. If you have anything, you can tell me. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 465. After watching Lin Mei, time has almost passed on the way to the restaurant. Yingwan checked the time and prepared to leave with Su Han. Before leaving, Sci-Lu made a phone call first and she walked aside to answer the phone. Lin Mei came to see her off, and unexpectedly saw Su Han waiting by the car. He leaned against the car, thinking that it was this person who had fished him out not long ago, of course, mainly as a photographer, but that didn't stop Lin Mei from being extremely impressed by his princess holding him. Who doesn't like handsome guys or muscular guys? They're not burly and scary, they're just strong. At first glance, you can see that he has a good figure that has been rigorously trained. Extraordinarily masculine and charming. Lin Mei likes beauty, and beauty is even more curious now. She couldn't help but ask Su Han, were you the ones responsible for protecting Yingwan in the past? Su Han glanced at Lin Mei and said coldly, no, we were assigned to protect academician Ying after he retired. Retire? In fact, Lin Mei didn't quite understand the meaning of late retirement. Why retirement? Did she retire at such a young age? Su Han, it involves confidentiality, so I can't answer it. Lin Mei. Okay, she understands. There are some things he can say, and there are some things even Lin Mei cannot know. Lin Mei looked at Su Han and praised her sincerely, you guys are really cool. Do you usually have time to find a girlfriend? Su Han. It seemed that Lin Mei had asked a similar question. This time Su Han answered more clearly, not interested. Lin Mei. You can just say that you don't have time, what the hell is that you don't have interest? Lin Mei suddenly looked horrified, do you like men? Su Han. He couldn't understand Lin Mei's brain circuit at all. Even his sister, who was an academician, how could her thinking be so weird? Someone might ruin his reputation. Su Han pressed his eyebrows and patiently explained to her, I am not interested in finding a girlfriend now. That is for the future. My current task is to protect academician Ying. Oh. Lin Mei said oh, not sure whether she believed it or not. Yingwan happened to come back from answering the phone. When he saw Lin Mei and Su Han chatting, he asked casually, what are you talking about? This topic was a bit awkward. Su Han couldn't answer. Lin Mei smiled and said, it's nothing, I just asked some gossip about you. Yingwan turned her head and glanced at Lin Mei, then raised the corners of her lips but didn't ask further. She was not a person who liked to inquire about others. She could tell at a glance that what Lin Mei and Suhan were talking about was definitely not about her. After getting in the car, Lin Mei could be seen in the rearview mirror waving goodbye to them with a smile. Yingwan poked her chin and asked as if mumbling to herself, Lin Mei is also 26 this year. She is 2 years older than Yingwan. Suhan didn't know what she meant. He thought she was asking him, so he nodded, yes. He naturally knows everyone's information. Yingwan chuckled softly, I remember you are 29 years old. Suhan nodded, yes, academician, I am 29 years old this year. An old man who is going to be a third grader next year. Yingwan nodded and said nothing, as if she was just asking casually. Suhan wasn't sure what Yingwan meant, but he probably just asked casually. Soon, Yingwan arrived at the place she had made an appointment with Si Lu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 466. Si Lu booked a Western restaurant. Although it is a Western restaurant, it has a good reputation. It is a Michelin 3-star restaurant and has been on world-class authoritative magazines. It only serves a certain number of guests every day, and you can't make a reservation even if you have money. Generally speaking, you need to make a reservation 1 month in advance if you want to have a meal. Of course, in the face of absolute money and status, you still have to make concessions. Although Si Lu made a temporary reservation, he still made it. The elegant and quiet small restaurant is a temporary small private room. After all, this is a secondary restaurant. Usually, it is reserved by guests who like absolute quietness. There are no separate private rooms here. But today Si Lu booked it. There are only 2 of them in the huge restaurant. Except for the waiter who came to serve. When he saw Yingwan, Si Lu had already arrived. He was wearing a black shirt, sitting opposite the long table with his long legs elegantly crossed, and watching Yingwan being brought over by the waiter with a smile on his face. Under the dim and ambiguous light, Si Lu's face seemed to be coated with a layer of soft light, and the more blurred it was, the more he looked like an angel descending to the earth. It's a pity that this person's personality is not like an angel. When Yingwan sat down, Si Lu took the initiative to ask, would you like to open a bottle of red wine? In such a wonderful atmosphere, it would be a bit strange not to drink a glass of red wine to liven up the atmosphere. Unfortunately, Yingwan didn't follow, no, you drink it if you open it, I can only drink juice. She had already determined that she couldn't drink a drop of alcohol. The man in front of her was smiling with some ill intentions. It was not difficult to imagine that waiting for him was waiting for her to get drunk. Yingwan asked curiously, you know I like to ask you questions when I'm drunk. Why do you like me to ask you questions so much? I remember you didn't solve the 2 questions I gave you last time. Ahem. Si Lu sat up straight and raised his eyebrows, I don't think you can embarrass me with questions that embarrass other mathematicians, Wan, you know I'm not a math major. Yingwan laughed, so don't let me drink. The waiter poured Ying a glass of juice, and Si Lu still opened a bottle of red wine. He brought it himself. It's not like Yingwan can't drink. But Si Lu seemed to be particularly busy today. Not long after he sat down, his cell phone started ringing. The sound ruined the atmosphere. Si Lu looked down and turned off the ringtone silently. Looking at Yingwan again, seeing that she was now sitting in front of him and dating him, Si Lu took a sip of the red wine glass and smiled deeply, Wan, do you know that I had such a dream in my dream a few days ago? He hoped to have a face-to-face date with Yingwan, but he didn't expect that the dream would become a reality after just a few days. So some of his dreams are not impossible to realize. For example, some dreams that are too ambiguous and charming. Yingwan said and asked a question. I heard from Suhan that you have never had a girlfriend. Am I your first love? Sometimes there is not enough time, and some questions have not been asked in time. Si Lu raised his eyebrows. Am I not your first love? Isn't this just right? We are a perfect match, perfect for each other. Yingwan clasped her hands on the table and looked at him and said, Bai Ya said that you have never had a girlfriend. People outside say that you are either gay or have problems. Do you know these rumors? Si Lu's face darkened. Wan, don't mention these spoilers about dating. You know that Bai Ya has always disliked me. I even suspect that he fabricated and spread these rumors. Wan, he is jealous of me. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 467. It's not a question of rumors or not. The original intention of Yingwan to ask him this question was not who said it, but, don't these rumors bother you? Because in my impression, you don't seem to be someone who would tolerate these things. Yingwan was not very familiar with Si Lu before, but she still had some understanding. After all, in Haddon before, there were some things that she could hear even if she didn't see them. She also heard the name of Si Lu from other colleagues and professors. Everyone's description of Si Lu is nothing more than, that arrogant boy from China, relying on his family's power and influence, leading a group of rich second generations in Haddon to do whatever they want, but there is no way to do it, and the group of rich second generations all follow his lead, which is actually a miracle in Haddon. Racial discrimination in foreign countries is not just a casual talk, but for a real super genius like Yingwan, no one dares to look at people with tinted glasses. So many professors in Haddon still treat Yingwan with respect. But the student groups are different. Although Haddon is a world-class Buddhist school, because it is an elite university abroad, those who go there are basically rich second generations with good family conditions. They are not only rich, but also capable and have good grades. Because of this, Haddon is also a small social circle. There are differences between the ethnic circles and the rich second generation circles. Some people are rich, some are super rich, and there are some differences because of race and nationality. Everyone looks down on each other, and some look down on everyone. Si Lu, as a Chinese, leads the group of rich second generations, and can also experience some of his special features. Since there are such rumors outside, given Si Lu's temper, it is incredible that he can tolerate these rumors fermenting and ignore them. This is what Yingwan is curious about. They have their mouths. How can I know what others say? Unexpectedly, Si Lu was very open about this. He narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled darkly. You also know these rumors. Does that mean you are paying attention to me privately? Not really. Yingwan said, there are a lot of rumors about you. Even professors gossip. I occasionally hear it. Si Lu. Tisk. It's obviously not a good rumor to be gossiped by professors. He smiled and said, I want to know how surprised those professors would be if they knew that I was with you. Estimated eyeballs would fall out. It can even be imagined that some people would sigh and say how a super genius could be chased by a prince of a consortium, although Yingwan herself should belong to a super consortium now. Sooner or later, everyone will know. Yingwan didn't mind that the news about her and Si Lu was known to others. After all, if she minded these, she would never agree to be with Si Lu. Si Lu nodded, it's not strange to chase you. I think they will wonder why you like me. This is a question that even Si Lu himself doesn't quite understand. He confessed several times, and Yingwan rejected him the first few times. The last time Yingwan accepted him was really beyond his expectation. At this time, the dishes were served. When the plates with exquisite dishes were placed in front of the two, Yingwan picked up the knife and fork and said, You are beautiful. Si Lu. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 468. He used to wonder why Yingwan didn't like him even though he was so good looking. Now that he really heard Yingwan's answer, he felt funny and sighed slightly. Is it really because I am good looking and found that no one around me has a face like mine, so they reluctantly accepted me? Not really. Yingwan looked calm and didn't get too emotional about the topic of love. He described his feelings a little. At first I just thought you were a tactless person. Now I think I didn't hate you from the beginning. I haven't hated anyone either, but it's probably because you've been around me for too long. Si Lu nodded. Well, I'm thick-skinned. You can't chase a wife if you're not thick-skinned. But it can also be imagined that love at first sight is almost non-existent for Yingwan. Si Lu spent so much time around Yingwan because she had more things to do and more time, and her mind gradually changed. If you really want to count, apart from Suhan in secret, I'm afraid Si Lu is the man who has been around Yingwan the longest. The others were male assistants in the studio or various professors. It was not enough that they were not of the same age, and those male assistants did not dare to have any desire for Yingwan. In general, Si Lu had the right time, place, and people. There was no point in discussing these topics now. Si Lu only knew that Yingwan must like him now that she agreed to him. He said, I haven't told my dad about us yet. It's his birthday next week, and I want to take you to meet him formally. Yingwan had never experienced these things before, and had no experience. She only knew that people who were dating needed to meet both parents. She didn't have parents now, so she didn't have to consider these things at all. But Si Lu did. Nodded and said, just make the decision, I'll arrange the time. Si Lu, yeah. The taste of this restaurant is really good, even the Western food is definitely the top of the Western food. No wonder it has such a status in China, otherwise Si Lu would not have chosen this place. It just took a little longer to wait for the dishes to be served, because there were many dishes, which needed to be served continuously, and the portion of each dish was small. According to Yingwan's previous temperament, this is why she didn't like to go to expensive restaurants to eat Western food. It was a waste of time. This kind of date now does have a different feeling. The two chatted about some things. As their relationship changed, Yingwan gradually became more talkative, and she would not let Si Lu's words go unanswered. When they were almost done with the meal, Si Lu looked at her gently with a smile. The food is not bad, right? There is a movie at 10 o'clock in the evening. I booked it. Do you want to go? Yingwan was a little curious. Watch it outside. Si Lu nodded. I know you must have never been there. Yingwan nodded. No, I haven't been there. These things about movie theaters probably only exist in her hearsay. Because of her special status, she is not assured to go to these crowded places alone. In the past, she would just take a notebook and play it casually when watching movies. However, she was not very interested in movies. Now that Si Lu arranged it, she was still interested. Considering Yingwan's status, Si Lu did not go to any public occasions, but only went to a very special shopping mall. There is also a movie theater here, but it is not the kind of shopping mall movie theater in the popular sense. Those who can come here are either rich or noble, and the high consumption is a step. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 469. There are few people and it is quiet. Even if Yingwan and Si Lu come here, there will be no commotion. Especially late at night. Yingwan is now holding Si Lu's hand, and her thoughts are a little confused. It's funny to say that she has been back for so long, but she has never been to these places alone. Because there were certain restrictions in the past. After all, her safety is the most important. Even if Suhan is watching behind the scenes, the country is too nervous about her and dare not gamble. After all, there are precedents. Even in universities like Huddleton, such things have happened. Even if China's public security is indeed good, we must always prevent it before it happens. Some criminals with ulterior motives definitely don't want people like Yingwan to exist. She rarely goes to complicated and crowded places alone. Even such a shopping mall. Later in the countryside, after investigation, the people in the village are not threatening, and will not let Yingwan have any unsafe things. Now that she is accompanied by Si Lu, there are not so many restrictions, because Si Lu is also watching her, and he has bodyguards. The huge shopping mall was a rare novelty for her. Si Lu led her up. Si Lu remembered the last time he went to the supermarket with Yingwan on his birthday, so he asked her with a smile, "Do you basically never go out?" Yeah, Yingwan looked around. It was too late now and there were basically few people. I didn't need to go out before, but now I don't know what to do when I go out. She really didn't have many people to accompany her. Most people who knew her were still too reserved after getting along with her. Even Suhan felt that it was not just a problem of retiring to the countryside. After staying with Lin Mei and the others for a long time, she met more strangers. Yingwan was now more patient with the public. When she was doing experiments before, she didn't have so much patience to treat others, not to mention her usual cold face, and few people talked to her casually. Of course, it can't be said that a genius like Yingwan must need friends, but since she is not opposed to all this now, who knows if she has ever thought about it before. After getting on the elevator, we arrived at the cinema. Si Lu booked the cinema tonight and was only responsible for the two of them. The staff smiled warmly when they saw them, especially after recognizing Yingwan. They were surprised and surprised. No wonder they booked the whole place. With Yingwan's status, they could have cleared out the entire mall. Si Lu also bought popcorn, and Yingwan took it. She pinched a few and stuffed them into her mouth. The taste was not that good, probably because she was picky about the things she made, so she naturally had requirements for these things. But here, the atmosphere is important. Si Lu saw that she stuffed the popcorn directly into her mouth, which was somewhat inconsistent with her usual steady image, and laughed, "You are greedy." No, Yingwan explained to him seriously, curious, "Try it?" Si Lu smiled dotingly, "How does it taste?" The two walked away for a distance at this time, and Yingwan still lowered her voice so that the staff could not hear, "It's average." After all, you can't say that someone's food is not delicious in front of the store owner. Si Lu also leaned down slightly and whispered in her ear, "It's not that great, but going to the cinema is for the atmosphere. In fact, there is a cinema at my house. I don't mind you watching it at my house." Yingwan paused and said, "I have one at my house too." Si Lu changed his words immediately, "Okay, I'll go to your house to watch it another day." Yingwan. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 470. This has a different meaning. If an ordinary girl heard this, she might blush. Yingwan heard Si Lu's subtext. She could even know that this was a little ambiguous atmosphere between lovers. After all, she was not the kind of person who could not understand what others meant. Otherwise, she would not have realized that she had some feelings for Si Lu and accepted it. The result was that she could see that there was an emotional foundation between her and Si Lu. After discovering that her attitude had changed, she frankly accepted Si Lu's confession again, but for Si Lu's ambiguous tone, she did not feel shy at all. The black and white pupils just looked at Si Lu seriously, and there was no shame or annoyance at this. Si Lu looked at it and sighed, "Wan, do you know what the word shy is written as? I just don't have this feeling." No matter what Sci-Lu said, she accepted it frankly. This is not called slowness. It should be said that her emotions have always been more restrained, and she would not have these emotions. She is indifferent to everything. Sci-Lu understood her personality, which was that she was too calm. It was harder than climbing to the sky to make such a person feel shy. The theater they chose was upstairs. After they took the elevator up, they could see Suhan and his men following behind them openly, but they didn't get too close. Occasionally, Special Forces members complained, "We used to think it was okay to follow Miss Ying wherever she went, but now we feel like we are just a few thousand watts of light bulbs." Suhan whispered, "Sci-Lu doesn't even dislike you for being light bulbs, but you think you are an eyesore." Team member. That's true. This man could actually tolerate them following behind Yingwan all the time. Of course, this was a mission, and he knew it, but he was able to ignore this group of people, and his endurance was incredible. When they all left, the people in the cinema were still whispering excitedly. Is this academician Ying? It looks like the guy next to her is her boyfriend. My God, her boyfriend is so handsome. I used to think that no one could match such a genius. Now I know that gods are paired with gods in this world. If I hadn't seen the real person, I wouldn't believe that she could achieve so much at such a young age. And she is so low-key. She just booked a place. I have the impression that big shots like them basically have to clear the place, right? It's so late now. There is no one in the mall. What's the difference between clearing the place? We can only say that they are low-key. The most talked about person in the country now is Yingwan. After all, such a genius has been hidden before. Now he has suddenly appeared. His achievements alone are enough to make people's eyes dazzled. He is also the treasure of countless parents now, and they love to use him to drag down their children. The central idea is we are all human beings. Look at his 24-year-old and then look at your 24-year-old. Regardless of the IQ and thinking ability, there may be only one chance in this generation in the world. The main reason is that he is young. If he is too young, he will easily become a nightmare for many students. And she is not like others. Even when she is on the show, there is little entertainment news about her. Instead, her past achievements in school are constantly being dug up. In the end, netizens found that it was like a nightmare, so they simply stopped digging. Some people always make you feel more and more that they are just here to make up the numbers.